I have given in to the pressure. So many people have asked me to give my thoughts about movies that I feel like the opening of those honest trailer videos being slammed with comments demanding to know what I think about Sinners, which I haven't seen yet, I'm sorry. Fine, let's do this. What movies will I talk about? All of them. Every movie I have watched in 2025 thus far, including new releases and older movies I just happened to watch this year. Not gonna do one of those weird deep dives like, what is the secret meaning to the second Power Rangers movie? I genuinely hope you enjoy this, but if you don't, this wasn't my idea. I take only partial responsibility. Let's go. Before let's go, be sure to subscribe to my channel and set the bell to all so that you never miss a video. Support me on Patreon, that's how all of this even happens. Link in the description. Superman. You will believe that a Superman movie can be good again. James Gunn, taking over the reins after the collapse of the DCEU, presents a Superman that feels like Superman. I remember years ago at a convention speaking with some like-minded friends, remarking that the most subversive take on Superman in a movie right now would be a Superman who smiles. This was right after Brightburn. In addition to this refreshing return to form, the movie itself is loads of fun, introducing a gang of heroes in it for the pure love of justice and smashing things. Although beginning a new Superman continuity in medias res, with only a few lines of text as backstory may have its detractors, the alternative of starting from the beginning of the Superman story like so many others would be far more unwelcome. We know who Superman is, let's go, look up in the sky. When a new writer takes over the Superman comic book, it doesn't always start with Krypton and his Superboy years. The film's politics are worn on Superman's sleeves, cape, and underoos, and while this may be a turnoff to some, it was a breath of fresh air to me. A much-needed statement in the most cynical year of 2025. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, is Stanley Kubrick's only true comedy. Sure, Full Metal Jacket has its funnier moments, but it is too miserable and too tragic for the label. Dr. Strangelove, even as the world ends, throws nothing but screwballs at the audience. Released in 1964, 2 years after the Cuban Missile Crisis, the film openly mocks the nuclear policies of the United States and the Soviet Union, one of the few historical instances in which both sidesism is born not out of cowardly centrism, but rather from sanity. The world's most embarrassing measuring contest is laid bare in the film. Peter Sellers steals the show as 3 separate characters, unrecognizable in each role. Modern audiences unfamiliar with Sellers' work might not even notice that the titular Strangelove, Mandrake, and the President are all him. The film has re-entered the public consciousness due to a certain worm-eaten conspiracy theorist freaking out about fluoride, that and the fact that the world seems to be careening towards new disasters. I must have seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure 50 times as a child. I remember Pee-wee's Playhouse, and I even recall hearing about his infamous arrest when I was a kid, but being too young to fully understand the implications. The documentary film Pee-wee as himself fills in some gaps. Like many documentaries and talking head interviews, the story of the documentary at times becomes the story of making this documentary, with Paul Reubens only hesitantly speaking on certain subjects and outright refusing on others. If Reubens wanted this documentary to be his legacy and to tell his side of the story, it mostly succeeds, for even without the direct commentary on his 2 arrests, the rest is resolved and explained by those in his life. Reubens passed away during the creation of the documentary, necessitating a reworking. I feel like I know more about what made him tick after seeing it. Young Frankenstein is my most cherished Mel Brooks film, surpassing timeless classics like Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, and Dracula Dead and Loving It. Young Frankenstein works so well as a parody of Frankenstein because it genuinely feels like a Frankenstein movie and not merely a spoof. The matte paintings, the sets, none of it looks cheap. Some of it is from the other film. It is a Frankenstein movie. It's a sequel to Frankenstein with its genre twisted and contorted, but presenting a similar and connected story. The comedy style is wordplay yuck-yucks and physical comedy gags. Gene Wilder is perfectly cast as Friedrich Frankenstein. Only a few jokes and one-liners feel too dated to elicit laughs, the hallmark of timeless comedy, the genre often cited as the most vulnerable to aging. K-pop Demon Hunters sucks. Okay, I'm just not the target demographic for this. I have nothing to say but cringe. Sorry. Beetlejuice is peak Tim Burton. All his weirdest and funniest instincts pour out of him for this dark comedy classic. This film boasts one of the greatest comedy casts of the 1980s. Michael Keaton shines in the title role, Winona Ryder cements her status as goth queen, Alec Baldwin and Geena Davis produce a flawless chemistry as a loving married couple, Catherine O'Hara devours the scenery in one of her best roles, and Jeffrey Jones is a sex offender. Beetlejuice is my most beloved Burton film, sorry Batman, tugging at the broken heartstrings of every depressed child and adult, giving hope to those obsessed with their own mortality. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I finally sat down and forced myself to watch the sequel, knowing full well that it would disappoint but could potentially provide some laughs and closure. It did not. Nothing feels grounded, everything feels weightless and insubstantial, and I am not referring to the plot. There is something not really there about how everything is shot in many modern movies, drifting in unreality in such a way that nobody is relatable and engaging. My brain simply refuses to connect to this flattened tableau. If you know anything about lenses, sound off in the comments. With art, I'm more of a vibes guy than technical guy. Beetlejuice's estranged and deceased wife appears as both the principal antagonist and remnant of an earlier draft based on how much importance she is given and then how little she affects the story. The rest of the film is sprinkled with remixed nostalgia, such as a funeral dirge of a Harry Belafonte song from the original and a larger and more obnoxious role for the shrunken head man, and it's just unpleasant and unsatisfying. I watched Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 thinking I might want to catch up with the franchise now that there are 2 legacy sequels, collecting copious dust in the to-watch shelf of my memory. They're funny? Yeah, they're funny. Obsessive man-child Ghostbuster fans are not going to ruin Ghostbusters for me anymore, nor will my politics, strongly opposed to the unregulated neoliberal capitalism and private sector suck-off mired in the original. It's hilarious, the special effects hold up shockingly well, and Gozer is honestly one of the most attractive women I have ever seen, and I don't know what that says about me. And I don't care. Ghostbusters 2 is not quite on the level of the original, but gets a bad rap. Plenty of yucks to go around. Peter MacNicol of Veep fame is a standout new character not seen in the first film, worth seeing for his performance alone. I never know what to make of Boondock Saints, mostly because I have always watched it sober for some reason. 2 young Catholic men from Boston take it upon themselves to fight crime by dropping toilets on the heads of unsuspecting criminals, all the while followed by a detective who narrates their misadventures. I'm trying to hold on to the plot and the meaning like Quicksilver. Boondock Saints, for me, works more as madness held together by string. It has a full heart and total emptiness. I can never tell if I like this movie, but the fact that I think about it from time to time means it has left some impression. The worst films leave none. Grand Theft Hamlet was released in the UK at the end of 2024, but it had its US release in 2025. Besides, I watched it in 2025, so it fits in this video either way. What did you do during the quarantine year of 2020? Can you even remember, or has the fog of that year and fallout of subsequent years obscured its image too greatly? For the creators of Grand Theft Hamlet, they know what they did, and everyone else does too, committing their pandemic activity to film. While playing the multiplayer game Grand Theft Auto Online, 2 friends grow the seed of an idea: stage Hamlet in the game. Of course, they run into logistical troubles along the way. It's not a paying gig, and they have to trust that their actors show up for both rehearsals and the opening night. The premise comes across as wacky and goofy, but there is this atmosphere of dread and disconnection due to the time in which they are doing this and the frustrations in their personal lives coming through in the auditions and producing. Bits and pieces of the melodrama feel staged, much like their activity, but I have no evidence, only the natural distrust of gamers. Weapons. Zach Krager, seen here holding a jug of PCP, unspools a haunting mystery in his latest film, Weapons. All the children in an elementary school class ran out of their homes late one night, and the town mindlessly blames their teacher, played by Julia Garner, without a shred of evidence except for happenstance and paranoia. A witch hunt ensues, and for the sake of not spoiling the twists, turns, and surprises of the film, I won't give away the solution here. Alden Ehrenreich, the young Han Solo, is scarcely recognizable in this role, owing in no small part to his perfect cheese-dick police officer mustache. Josh Brolin is his gold standard self, and this ensemble cast as well. The film switches points of view to allow each character an equal share in solving the mystery and untangling themselves in the danger. Horror movies tend to snatch my attention more than other genres, thus it is no surprise that this is my favorite film of the year so far. I had intended on releasing such a video in July around the midpoint of the year, but I had not seen enough movies to justify a video. If this does well, I will consider doing another at the end of the year. Let me know in the comments. Bye for now.